Today we're going to cover I can statement E and F. Please have your notes out and ready to work on, as I will provide stops in order to fill in your notes. The first thing that we're going to look at is, what is a galaxy? A galaxy is a huge collection of stars, and our galaxy that we live in, the Milky Way, is about, so we think, 400 billion stars. Within our galaxy and around our galaxy, we have what's called dark matter. It's matter that emits no light at any wavelength. In our entire universe, about 90% of our universe is thought to be dark matter. There's 3 types of galaxies out there within our universe. We categorize them as either spiral, elliptical, or irregular. Spiral galaxies look something like this, where they have a bulge in the center and arms on the outside. They're thicker in the center, and this is what our galaxy, the Milky Way, is like. The second type is an elliptical galaxy. It's got a round shape, oval, football, or basketball-like shape. It has very little or no gas and dust, so there are very few new stars being formed. These sometimes form when 2 spirals merge together. The third type of galaxy is an irregular galaxy. It is any other odd-shaped galaxy, and they usually have a lot of gas and dust, so there's many new young stars forming. For example, you have the Horsehead Nebula and the Eagle Nebula. These are irregular galaxies. Also, the Cat's Eye Nebula. Even though it has somewhat of a circular shape, the concentric circles within and around, overlapping circles, make it an irregular galaxy. Our galaxy is part of a cluster. The cluster that we live in is called the local group. The local group contains 54 or more galaxies. The local group can be part of the supercluster called the local supercluster. Here we are living on Earth, which is part of our solar system, which revolves around the sun. Our sun is way out here on an arm in the Milky Way. The Milky Way is part of the local group. The local group is part of the local supercluster. So how did all of this begin? Where did this stuff all come from? What is the Big Bang Theory? Big Bang Theory is a TV show, but it's also a theory on how the universe began from a single point and has been expanding ever since. It started in a very hot, dense state, just like the lyrics to the TV show say. Most scientists agree that that happened about 13 to 14 billion years ago, and that galaxies are moving away from one another like chocolate chips rising in cookie dough, or if you were to drop dots on a balloon and blow the balloon up. No galaxy is getting any closer to another galaxy. This is kind of a timeline of what happened. Very tiny fraction of a second. That's when our Big Bang began. In the very beginning, tiny part of a second, our universe was too hot for electrons, protons, and neutrons to even exist together. It wasn't until about 3 minutes in after the Big Bang that our universe was still too hot to even form atoms. Eventually, at about 300,000 years, things cooled down enough for protons, neutrons, and electrons to form together to create our lightest elements, like hydrogen, helium. Then, about 1 billion years after the Big Bang, we believe that gravity began to make hydrogen and helium come together to form giant clouds of gas and dust, nebulas, in order to form our first stars and create our first galaxies. All of this being held together through gravity. It wasn't until about 15 billion years later, that's where we're at today, that galaxies are clustering together under gravity, and the first stars died and spewed out heavy elements into space. Those heavier elements will eventually turn into new stars and new planets. Why do we know that the galaxies are moving away from us? It's because of what's called the Doppler shift. And you've all experienced what the Doppler shift is based on like a fire truck. When it's coming towards you, the pitch appears to go higher, and when it's going away from you, the pitch tends to go lower. The same thing happens with light. When galaxies are moving towards you, they're shifted towards the blue end. When they're moving away from you, they're shifted towards the red end. So what does this look like? Well, when you look at a spectra through a telescope, it's usually shifted one way or the other. If it's keeping its own distance, for example, our galaxy, the Milky Way, as we look at it through telescopes using spectroscopes, it usually stays fairly centered. It's red shifted if the galaxy appears to be moving away from us, and blue shifted if it's moving towards us. Red away, blue toward. Finally, in letter F, knowing what galaxy we live in and where in the galaxy the sun is placed, we need to know that we live in the Milky Way, which looks like this if you're looking at a side profile, or like this if you're looking at a top-down view. We live out on one of the arms. The sun and the entire solar system is out on one of the arms. So where are you? You're on an arm. You are here revolving around the sun with Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and all of the other dwarf planets. So, big ideas from today were gravity holds stuff together. We live in the Milky Way. There's 3 types of galaxies: spirals, ellipticals, and the irregulars. And the Milky Way is a spiral galaxy. And also that if you see a red shift, that means that the galaxy is moving away from us. Please make sure that all your notes are filled in.